So, do we all agree that Narnia is a Christmas movie? Weird intro, but hi, my name is Gabby, and this is an art channel. I like to post sketchbook tours on here. I ask this because every time I tell people that I watch it every year as part of my Christmas marathon, people act all weird about it. But Santa Claus is literally canonically in Narnia giving weapons to children. On top of that, that lion is literally Jesus.
Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written.
I bring this up because it's time to post my annual Rankin and Bass drawing. Now, for those of you who are new here, every year on Christmas, I make a Rankin and Bass style doodle of all of the movies that I watch around Christmas, even if they're not technically Christmas movies. And it's Narnia's turn this year. This has been a personal tradition of mine for the past 3 years, and it all started because Rankin and Bass, the company that used to make all of those stop-motion animated Christmas movies and a bunch of other ones, did make The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, but in 2D. And as a lover of their stop-motion movies, I just couldn't let that slide. And outside of some Christmas classics, my Christmas movie marathons don't generally include Christmas movies. They actually involve other movies that I just associate with the month of December. This includes my character from last year's Rankin and Bassification, Dorothy Gale from The Wizard of Oz. So, after drawing Bilbo Baggins and Dorothy Gale as Rankin and Bass puppets, this year it's time for, drumroll please, the White Witch of Narnia, Jadis. I think the tricky thing about doing these annual Rankin and Bass drawings is that I have to recreate a style that is very different than my own. There are some artists out there who can just do licensed images like it's nothing, but for me, I have to really pay attention to what the characters have to look like in order to do it. I can't just do it off the top of my head. And with Jadis, it was particularly tricky because for Bilbo and for Dorothy Gale, I was able to get images that looked pretty similar to what I had in mind when thinking about, well, what would they look like if they were in a stop motion movie? Because they're both very cute. They're both very cherub-like. I think for Bilbo, my main reference was the New Year's baby from one of the Rudolph movies, and my main inspiration for Dorothy was pretty much any female character that Rankin and Bass does that's supposed to be like a teenager. But the White Witch is very angular, she's very striking, and it was a little more difficult to find references of stylized women who weren't really old in Rankin and Bass movies. And what I ended up using as reference were the wizard, the miser brother, and the witch from their version of The Little Mermaid, which I think was really helpful. And she's just not a particularly colorful character, which I guess I did to myself by picking an ice queen. So I kept having to go back and forth between my Dorothy picture and hers to see if there was a way that I could spruce it up to make sure that they kind of look like they're in the same world. And once I was satisfied with it, I did what I always do, which is that I do a little doodle or some text on the side that correlates to the movie they're from. And of course, I chose Turkish Delight. And after finishing this, for some reason, I felt like I still had energy to do Christmas art, which is not usually the case. Usually I don't draw anything in December except for my Rankin and Bass drawing. But this year I really wanted to. So because I finished that and I did this gif of Mrs. Claus, you guys get 2 winter icons for the price of 1. Now, usually I post these the day after Christmas because my only goal in December is to finish my Rankin and Bass drawings by Christmas, by the end of December 25th. That's my only goal because I try to take it easy on me. I don't really like to do a bunch of art in December since I do a bunch of art in October. But this time I had extra energy. I know that usually I still share these before New Year's, but since I did my sketchbook tour so recently and it was pretty long, I figured I could wait till 2024. But the good thing for me is that I can still pretend that this counts as a Christmas video because for me, it's still technically the Christmas season. I'm Puerto Rican, I live in Puerto Rico, and literally if I calculate everything correctly, and if I'm right, I can be able to post this by January 6th, which is Three Kings Day. So good for me, I'm a cheater. You can also check out some of my other Christmas drawings because I also made food themed girls, which is something that I really like doing. I like to take foods or desserts from certain holidays and base characters off of them. I think it's really fun. I did a few based off of Puerto Rican Christmas food just because I feel like Christmas time things are always based off of winter up north, and like Christmas is a global thing and the global south exists, and it kind of gets to be a little bit of a bummer when everything is something that I don't experience and I don't know how to make. I feel like I need to make more Christmas art from our portfolio, but making Christmas art that's just based off of the iconography of Christmas that I don't celebrate always feels a little inauthentic outside of things that are like mythology, which is why I drew Mrs. Claus and I had so much fun drawing Mrs. Claus. But in general, I feel like I really need to do more Christmas art. So if you want to see the other ones that I did, I haven't posted them on my website just yet, but I did post pictures of them on my Instagram. That's definitely one of the things that I really want to improve on next year. I want to be able to get better at scheduling my time so that I have time to make Christmas art next year, especially if I want to focus on Christmas art that has my own iconography, because I think that's the issue with my motivation. I think for Halloween, there's so much to draw, whereas for Christmas, my brain is like, it's either religious art or winter-based secular art, and I am more in the middle. And speaking of Christmas food, when I was technically finished with this drawing, it felt kind of boring to me. And so I decided to add things to her cloak, and I figured the perfect thing to add to Mrs. Claus's cloak would be cookies, like gingerbread cookies or sugar cookies or candy canes or pretty much anything else that I associated with Christmas. I added ornaments, stars, little bells, and it looks so much better. I partially based this off of that cloak that they made for that fashion Howl's Moving Castle collab. I don't really know anything about it outside of seeing it online, but I think it added the perfect touch to it, and I really liked it. I then added these little jingle bells to the sides of the cloak to sort of attach it so that it doesn't look like it's falling off. And then I ended up changing the neckline because I just didn't like it anymore. And after doing all these little finishing touches, I loved it so much that I ended up turning it into a GIF. Now, I don't have Procreate Dream, so what I usually do when I make a GIF like this is that I make variations of the same illustration and then put them into different layers so that then I can convert it into an animated PNG. I just made it so that she can blink a few times and show off the hot chocolate. Oh, and I changed her glasses. Here's the GIF now. I'm really proud of this, and I'm really proud of my Rankin and Bass drawing, and if any of you guys have suggestions for next year's, please let me know, and thanks for watching.